Casey Mize has a really weird start, a lot of strikeouts, but also the Tigers still lose by 7 runs to the Philadelphia Phillies. Let's talk about it all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Welcome in, welcome all. Happy Tuesday, everybody. In what was a wild day of sports on Monday night, the Detroit Tigers lose 8-1 at home at the hands of the Philadelphia Phillies. They are now 36-42 on the season that we are very quickly approaching the halfway point in. Only a few games until we hit that 81st game mark of the season. Look, we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. I have a lot to say about Casey Mize, and we're going to talk about the offense and everything. We'll break down everything like we always do. But at the end of the day, Philly has the best record in baseball, and the Tigers aren't a very good baseball team, right? Like, is anyone surprised? Maybe that it's 8-1, and even that's like a maybe. Maybe you're surprised that it was a 7-run game. I would love to walk out of this series surprised. I would love to. But it's June. This Tigers lineup is not good. And there's no way to fix that today. There isn't one, right? You can make moves, and people, talk about the moves that they would make, right? Sending players down, calling players up all the time. And those can help. Those are between the margin moves. There are some that would have an even bigger impact, right? But none of those moves are going to make this lineup good, right? If there was a good hitter in this organization that would be like a heart of the lineup hitter on this team, they'd be playing at the major league level and be in the heart of the lineup. The only one that's not is Kerry Carpenter, and he's hurt. So, yeah, they lost 8-1. The best team in the sport came into town and punched him in the mouth. Really good team plays not very good team. More at 11. So what went wrong in this game? The offense, absolute shocker of a development. I know. Let's do the run total game. This is like our favorite. This has become one of my favorite reoccurring bits here. Tigers' offensive run total in the last 10 games we're now up to, right? It was kind of cute when it was, look at the last 4 games, 0, 13, 1, 1, 1, or whatever. We're now at 10. We're at a week and a half sample size, a 10-game sample. 0, 13, 1, 1, 1, 0, 2, 1, 11, and now 1. Every game, they either put up double digits or the pitcher shoves. And they score, 1 or 2 or 0. It's the team does not have the ability to score between 3 and 9 runs. Right? It's 10 plus or I would just love to score, 4 or 5 runs at some point. That'd be really cool. That'd be really fun. It's really stupid to me that over that stretch, they've averaged a little bit over 3 runs per game, and yet they've only scored 3 or more runs a game in 2 of those 10 games. That's preposterous. And like, again, are we shocked? Right? The Tigers offense, not good. Aaron Nola, very, very, very good. Similar conversation to the one we just had about the teams we can have with the Phillies pitching. Aaron Nola is one of the premier pitchers in our beautiful sport, and the Tigers offense is the Tigers offense. Let's talk about some specifics. Justyn-Henry Malloy goes 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts in this ball game. He had a called third strike in the first strikeout. And those are the types of situations that he needs to improve on, right? We'll talk about kind of the overall big picture of Malloy in a second, but right, like that pitch, it looks like it's going to be a ball outside, and then it has two seam or sinking action, whichever you want to use. They're kind of one and the same these days, two seam fastballs and sinkers. And it moves back in and catches the outside part of the plate. It's in the zone, strike 3. Something that they have been trying to get Malloy to work on for a while now, right? Pretty much since he joined the organization, is being a little bit more aggressive. It seems like at times he can maybe even be a little bit too passive. In the same breath, at the same time, you have an at-bat like his second strikeout, which was 3 curveballs, and he swung and missed at all 3. Right? So that's another thing that we talked about when he got called up. And another thing that we talked about that he was working on when he was still in the minors was, yes, he draws a ton of walks. He has a fantastic eye, but he swings and misses in the strike zone a fairly decent amount and did in the minor leagues as well. And that is still something that he obviously needs to work on. Big picture on the season, he's hitting 146 with a 576 OPS now. That's obviously not great. It's still a relatively small sample size, but no matter how you slice it, those aren't good numbers. Yeah, I mean, he's been, when he does hit the ball, it's hit hard. He's got a really good barrel rate. His exit velocities, solid. Like he hits the ball pretty hard when he does hit the ball, but he is striking out and swinging and missing a lot. And he's drawing a lot of walks, and he's not chasing, right? We knew that was going to be a thing. That's his bread and butter. That's the focal point of his game, but that doesn't matter if you can't do damage on the pitches that are actually in the zone. So that's the big step for him, because again, there is the slight silver lining is the fact that when he has hit the ball, they have been hard hit. It's just a matter of not swinging and missing nearly as much and making that a little bit more consistent. Got a lot more to go over in this one. Still got to talk about Casey Mize. We'll probably talk about that at the end of the show, or towards the end at least. Got a few more things that went wrong as well. We'll talk about all of that right after this. Got to talk to you all today about our friends over at Tax Network USA. Here on Locked On Tigers, we pride ourselves in getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's in the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs. It's year-round. And you know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. So don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/ Locked On. See the link in the episode description below. Also going to talk to you all about our friends over at Supply House. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get the expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trade can get a competitive edge as well by joining SupplyHouse.com's free TradeMaster program. Every TradeMaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. So join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day, regardless of the Tigers' record. We'll be back tomorrow recapping Game 2 against the Phillies and talking about anything else that happens within and outside, really, of the Tigers organization. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today, the free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day, bringing you the biggest stories in sports from all of our great hosts here at Locked On. Again, you can subscribe for free on YouTube, Locked On Sports Today, or check it out for free in the Amazon Fire TV channels app. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Talking about things that went wrong, things that went right in this ball game. I want to talk about the bullpen. Some players in there find themselves on the side of the aisle of what went wrong. Tyler Holton, Andrew Chafin, and Mason Englert, I would say, all struggled in this one. Andrew Chafin, I guess, kind of squeaked his way out of what could have been way worse than it was, but he has really struggled for, we're going on over a month now, right? Got off to a great start to the season. Fantastic. And has been really struggling for a pretty more than he wasn't now at this point. It's been that long. I know his last outing or 2 outings ago, maybe it seemed like maybe he had got a good outing under his belt. Maybe that was part of a return. And then this one, we kind of went right back to the drawing board. Mason Englert just does not seem like a major league bullpen arm at the present moment. And I would imagine that he is probably going to get sent back down when Alex Faedo is healthy again, which I imagine will happen towards the end of this week. And then Tyler Holton, who's been pretty good this year and pretty good for about a month and a half now. Bryce Harper's Bryce Harper. And that's going to happen sometimes when one of the best players in the game is in the batter's box. So not the worst thing in the world to see him get popped a little bit, but it certainly put the game out of reach. The bullpen doing the team no favors, but really nobody was doing themselves any favors in this ball game. Casey Mize responsible for a few runs, the bullpen responsible for a few runs, and the offense unable to score a few runs. Tough to win too many ball games when all of those three things are true. Zach McKinstry, error to start off the ball game, an unearned run, then scores off of that error. Had a very poor base running blunder that led to a triple play in this ball game, something that hasn't happened against the Tigers in a very long time. He did hit a little bit in this game, I guess, to give him credit where credit is due. He did go 2 for 3, but on the season, he is batting 197 with a 572 OPS. And that's even like he hit the homer over the weekend and then had 2 hits today. It was in the 400s like less than a week ago. So I struggle to find the path forward or the justification rather to keep McKinstry on this roster the remainder of the season. To be completely honest with you, I think that this is a guy who provided his value at the beginning of last season, surprised some people, hit pretty well, had that crazy month of May in 2023, was, got Gold Glove consideration for utility players last year, was a good, solid option. I don't, despite the hits today, again, credit where credit's due, but I don't know how much longer we're going to keep him on the Major League roster. I think that conversation is probably only going to get hotter once Javi comes back. And that's not saying that Javi is very good either. This is just the situation that the team finds itself in, is that the shortstop options they have are Zach McKinstry, Ryan Kreidler, and Javier Baez. Oh, that almost hurt me to say out loud. So that's where we're at. And I think, look, there are much bigger issues that plague this team than Zach McKinstry getting a roster spot. I think this era has run its course, and I really struggle to see the justification for keeping him on this roster again the remainder of the season. If you got something in the works, you need to keep him around for another few weeks, fine. But I think by the time we get to August, especially, it's probably time to give somebody else an opportunity there. Okay. Let's talk about what went right, because there were a few players and things in this ball game that did go well. The best hitters on the team tonight were your 8 and 9 hitters, and Zach McKinstry and Carson Kelly. Carson Kelly with a couple of hits, including the lone RBI. Zach McKinstry obviously scoring on that. So again, credit to McKinstry, 2-hit night. Your 8 and 9 hitters had 4 hits. The rest of the team combined had 3. Now, obviously, in the game of baseball, that's just going to happen sometimes because it's a long season and these are professionals, etc. But when it happens with the Tigers, I feel like it's just kind of a reminder of, how much significantly better is the top of the lineup than the bottom. For instance, your 9-hitter in this ball game, Carson Kelly, has a 248 average and a 711 OPS. That is better than your 2-hitter in this game. It is in the same ballpark as your leadoff hitter. It is in the same ballpark, if not the same, as your 4-hitter. The only person that is head and shoulders above the rest of the pack that's healthy right now is Riley Green. And that's why Colt Keith has been hitting 2, and he's been hitting better lately. We've talked about that. That's, again, like we started the show with, that's just where we are. That's just the state of this lineup at the present moment. This is supposed to be things that went right. I apologize. Let's think more positively here. So Carson Kelly, I do think that's a plus. I think it's a plus because he is playing himself into being a part of a trade package, I think. I have a hard time believing that anybody is going to come calling and knock down the door for Carson Kelly by himself, or that's going to garner a big return. But trade deadline is weird, and a lot of things can move around and happen. And I think that he's playing himself into the conversation of at least being, a potential trade chip or trade piece to some extent. So I think that that's something. And then if and when that happens, then we get to see Dylan Dingler the second half of the season. And that's obviously something that's welcomed as well. So that's a good thing. 2 thumbs up. Woohoo. Okay, got one more player I want to talk about in what went right, and then we'll get into stuff. All right, we'll do that right after this. Got to talk to you today about our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week as well. From lowering select player stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit more easily, or getting your entry fee back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. With the finals over, the hoops action doesn't stop on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is heating up. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, so many more. Brenna Stewart, you name it. And you can win up to 100 times your cash winning, watching them ball out. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. As always, talking about what went right in this ball game. Bo Brisky went very, very right in this game. Yet again, has been a bright spot over the last, well, really in the month of June that has gone so poorly for the Detroit Tigers. Bo Brisky really stands out and shines. 1 1/3 inning of perfect ball and 4. So we recorded 4 outs. All 4 were strikeouts. Absolutely incredible. He's at the point now where, what's his ERA on the season? 2.49. He's at the point now where I don't want to see him in low leverage, right? Like that's where he has played himself into in my brain. And in this game, he was used in very low leverage. He was used in the middle of a 7-1 ball game, I believe it was at the time. And he's been great. He can be stretched out. I would like to see him not get low leverage situations anymore. And at some point, you've been using Wentz and England a lot lately because the Tigers haven't played very many close baseball games lately. So I understand that you need somebody to eat innings, but I would really like to see Bo Brisky get an increased role just in terms of the leverage of situation he's being handed, because I think he's earned it. And with as much as the rest of this bullpen has just completely kind of crashed and burned, he has really stood tall and been really, really solid since getting the call up. So, I would like to see more of Bo Brisky in some closer ball games, but that also requires the Tigers to actually play in some closer ball games, even get a lead sometimes. Even get a lead that's not a 10-run lead once a week. Like competitive baseball. It wasn't that long ago that we were playing a lot of it. It's got to be in our memory bank somewhere. It really wasn't that long ago at all. That's pretty much it on the side of things of what went right. Let's talk stuff. So Casey Mize, this is an outing where I think half of his outing you can classify as what went wrong and half you can classify as what went right. Really weird start for Mize. He goes 4 1/3, 9 hits, 4 runs, 3 of those runs earned, no walks, and a new career high 10 strikeouts with the 1 home run against. He had 19 swings and misses, 19 whiffs. That is also, I believe, a career high. I saw Chris Brown of Motor City Metrics tweet out. I believe that was what he said there. Again, just a really odd start. He gets off to the slow start early, just gets hit around. Zach McKinstry makes the error. Then you get a blooper. Neither of those really Mize's fault too much. And then you have Bryce Harper doing Bryce Harper things. And next thing you know, you're down 2-0. And he recovered really well. And this is maybe, statistically, you could say literally, the best swing and miss stuff we have ever seen from Casey Mize. This was phenomenal. If there's anything that you are looking for to grasp onto with as far as hope goes with Casey Mize, this start, as weird as it sounds, because he gave up 4 runs in 4 1/3 innings, is the outing you want to look at. And you want to hold on tight and never let go, right? Because this is the outing where it's like, oh my goodness, there is a pitcher in there that can get a ton of swings and misses at the major league level. And that's a really good offense. That's the best team in baseball. That's a lethal lineup. And he was getting swings and misses all outing. Now the efficiency, very poor. And that has a lot to do with the lack of command he had in the first 2 innings specifically. When he was hitting his spots, he was very effective. And he was getting a lot of those swings and misses. However, he was missing his spots a decent amount still, and when he was, they were either balls way out of the zone or he was missing over the heart of the plate. His fastball command was the most just complete hit or miss. That, no pun intended there, I guess. Complete hit or miss is literally what I mean. But But it was very either fantastic pinpoint and was getting swings and misses, or what do you have, 5 whiffs on the fastball? I couldn't tell you the last time if that's ever happened. I'm not even sure. Right. But in the same breath, he missed a lot of spots with fastballs, and those were the ones that were pounded. Right. Bryce Harper crushed the double he had in the first inning was off of a fastball where the command was really poor. So recovered nicely after a slow start. Still missed his spots pretty periodically throughout the entire outing. It wasn't just like, oh, the first 2 innings, his command was, awful, and then it was impeccable in the last 2. Like, no, he was missing spots, I guess more so early, but he was missing spots kind of consistently throughout the outing. But when he was hitting them, he was actually getting those swings and misses. So something to like, stuff not to like, more inconsistency, more just weirdness from yet another Casey Mize start. And that has kind of been the epitome of not only this season, but really his entire major league career so far with the Detroit Tigers. We haven't seen this level of swing and miss ever, but he was able to keep the ERA decently low, pre-injury, despite not getting strikeouts or swings and misses. And then you have an outing like this where he gets those, but gets popped early and gives up some runs and can't even make it through, 5 innings. So kind of all over the place, but again, you can call me overly optimistic. You can say I'm grasping at straws. Just if there's anything to look at here, and if you're looking for any sparkle of optimism or hope, it is the fact that he was getting a lot of strikeouts and was in the zone, getting swings and misses a pretty solid amount. It's a good sign. What else? We're into stuff now. The triple play was awful. Gave me a migraine. I don't know. I just feel like at least once a week, there's just a play that we look at and we go, I wonder if other major league teams have to deal with this. Like there once a week, we're like, wow, that happens on a major league field, eh? And Zach McKinstry, I didn't even understand his quote after the game. I saw Cody Stavenhagen of The Athletic put a quote out there from McKinstry about it. I didn't even understand what he was saying. Go read it yourself. Like I said, Cody put it out there on Twitter or X or whatever. I didn't even really understand what he was trying to say. I think I'd imagine he ran, like you don't run if you think that it was caught. So I'd imagine he just thought that he dropped it or that it bounced or something. And that's why you went. But it's the first time in almost a century that a 1-3-5 triple play has happened at any level at any point in a Major League Baseball game. Because, of course, first and third, no outs. It was only, a 4-run game at that point? Bryce Harper's really good. It's another takeaway I have. I just love watching him play the game of baseball. That's a dude that just absolutely loves to be out there. The epitome of just like ball player. When people are like, "Oh, that guy's a ball player," like that's Bryce Harper, man. He's just a gritty, grinded out, hard nose, sprinting to second base on that one play. Just plays the game really hard. Really a joy to watch, and he's really good. And like you look at all these teams that make the playoffs and go deep into the postseason, they all have players that at least one player who can be that 900 plus 950 plus OPS guy. Where is that at any level in this organization? Huge sports day on Monday as we move on from that potentially sad question. I'm done talking about this ball game. Very big sports day, though. You had Major League Baseball. You had the College World Series. Fantastic. Congratulations to the Vols. Tennessee, they were down 0-1 in the series, won the next 2 and took home and made it close. A&M made it close. Ended up being a 6-5 win, but very great ball game. You had the Calder Cup at the AHL level, their championship. You had the Stanley Cup, Game 7. The Oilers versus the Florida Panthers in what is I would imagine going to be one of the most watched hockey games in the history of the sport. You had Olympic trials. Somebody tweeted at me and said what's going on. I mean, you had a ton of sports going on Monday, and that is always a good thing in this household. My roommate and I had 3 screens up, I think is the most we had. We had the Tigers, we had Game 7, and we had the College World Series on our 3 screens up. So yeah, overstimulated, ready for bed. It's about midnight at this point. I'm ready to get this episode up and get back at it tomorrow. All right. Tigers play the Phillies yet again, another evening game. We talked about this matchup going into the series. This is a really interesting one. Tarek Skubal, who is one of the higher odds-on favorites to win the American League Cy Young, against Ranger Suarez, who has been one of the stories of the Phillies and one of the stories of the National League and baseball. A 10-1 record and a 1.75 ERA for Ranger Suarez. He has been a complete, I don't want to say surprise, but just a huge coming out party, and has just been a huge, factor for their success. You knew that they were going to have 2 really good pitchers. Getting another really, really good pitcher in that rotation has done them wonders. So yeah, it's going to be another tall task. This is not just a good team. This is the best team in baseball. So, like I said at the beginning, we'll end how we started. I would really love to be surprised. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day, and we will be back tomorrow. All right. Appreciate you all greatly. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope, and I'll catch y'all then, baby. Go Tigers.